the trainee. So, Fuji flow meter. We have sold a heap of these. We had a customer just recently buy 3. They are, in my opinion, by far the best value for money and by far the easiest to use. So, all clamp-on ultrasonic flow meters measure time of flight of an ultrasonic wave across the pipe in a V shape. So if you're going with or against the flow, the speed will change. So if you have a pipe like so, and you send out an ultrasonic signal, there's the flow going this way, and you send a signal out like this and up to there, and you time it, and you go back the other way, the one going against the flow will be slower.
Okay.
So by putting in the data like pipe wall thickness, material of the pipe and what's flowing through it, you can calculate quite easily what the flow rate is. One of the benefits of the Fuji, which I think is fairly unique, I've not seen one quite as easy as this, is that the sensor bars have a ruler on them. So when you enter the data for what the pipe size is, etc., it will tell you what spacing to put on there.
Oh, okay.
A lot of the flow meters that are out there have just individual sensors, so you have to get the alignment both this way and this way correct. That makes it a lot easier. Now, I've been in situations where I've set that on a pipe and not even strapped it down. It's been that good. So all one does is enter those data, which I'll show you in a moment, put on some grease onto here, some silicone grease or similar, strap it onto the pipe and take the flow reading. So that's the sensor bar. That's a really big feature of it because a lot of them don't have that. It comes with this flight style case. It's not branded Flight, but it's a very, very good hardy case, and certainly when I travel with it, I just put that on the carrier. You know, if we're going in the plane's freight department, I don't ever worry about it. Just to show you what it comes with too, these are the leads for doing the to clip onto the flow bar and to plug into the flow meter. So at this end you have a B and C connector. At this end you have a Limo German connector, which is very, very nice, and they simply clip on like this. So if you're using the flow meter, basically you put in all the data, you've set the distance you want, you've put some grease on here, you simply turn these, and it's strapped down normally, and you simply turn these down until such time as you see some grease sort of squidging out from underneath. Right. And you'll get reading straight away, it's that easy. And then the other lead it comes with is a 4 to 20 milliamp output, so that if you have a what was that? Yes. So if you have a flow meter in situ that maybe is playing up, you can actually put this in its place of, say, a magnetic flow meter and have it performing the functions. Okay. So the other claim to fame of the Fuji is that it's very easy to use. It's also quite rugged. It is obviously a precision piece of gear, but it is very, very easy to operate. It is rated at IP66, so it's happy with some water on it. No problem at all. And it's certainly not heavy. It's quite a light instrument. On this side you have the terminals for the Limo connectors. One is marked upstream, one is marked downstream. It doesn't matter if you get them wrong because it simply means it will have the flow in a negative number. And then you have an output for your 4 to 20 milliamp and a DC input for running it on mains. Battery life is about 12 hours typically.
Sure.
For any ultrasonic flow meter, there's a few things you need. You need a full pipe. You need a fluid that will pass ultrasonic signals through it. And you don't want to have too many bubbles. Having said that, the Fuji has a very special anti-bubble technology that deals with it. But for example, it will work fine with grey water, but it won't work with sewage. It's just too thick. There's too much stuff in it. So let's go through a standard setup. The first thing we go is to the site setup.
Yeah.
So we enter on that, and you can have memories. You can if you've got this on a site and you're a customer, you might have 10 or 12 areas of the factory they can set up as memorized and name them. Process setting. So this is a 4-screen display of what you can do. So on page 1 we have the outer diameter of the pipe, but that could also be the circumference. Sorry, I've clicked that wrong. Outer diameter, and then you can do the circumference as well.
Yep.
It just divides by pi, obviously, but it just makes life a bit easier in the field. The pipe material.
Yep.
You have a drop down of all sorts of different materials that you can use. So built in is carbon steel, stainless steel, PVC, copper, cast iron, etc.
Yeah.
All very good. And there's even a custom one whereby if you, what's called others, all you need to know is the sound speed of that material, and you can use that as well. I know there's been others that I've seen out in the market that have been very poor on galvanized steel. This is brilliant. And it brings up the sound velocity there. Now the wall thickness, because it's measuring the time of flight, it's important to have that wall thickness right.
Yeah.
So most customers either buy a ultrasonic thickness gauge, we've got a Dwyer one down there on the shelf, or if you can measure the end of the pipe and know what it is, you can do that as well.
Yeah.
So if we enter on that, we could put in, well, 4 mil is not an unusual size for a stainless steel pipe, but let's say 5, for sake of argument. If we go to the next screen, you can put in a lining material. Now, I've not come across this at all, but there is the option to put in a lining material, the lining thickness and the sound speed of it. I've never done it.
That'd be like an insulated pipe.
Yeah. The kind of fluid. Again, you have a drop down with all sorts of different fluids. You've got water and seawater and ammonia and alcohol, glycol, kerosene, etc., etc.
Yeah.
And again, you can put in a custom fluid. The two things you have to know are the kinesthetic viscosity and the sound speed of the fluid.
Right.
If you're using a mix, let's say glycol, typically in a refrigeration customer's premises, you'll have 2-to-1 glycol to water.
Yeah.
If you look at the sound speed of glycol and the sound speed of water, if you average them, it's so close to water it doesn't matter. So for doing glycol, you would actually just, in a normal refrigeration sense, you would normally just do water. The fourth screen allows you to select which sensor bar, because there's a whole family of these. And if you look at the end, this is an FSSC. So we can see that that's on there, so we can select the FSSC. Because there are sensor bars that will cover all the way from 1/2 inch through to, thank you, through to 6 meter pipes. You can't do 6 meters with the sensor bar, then you have 2 separate ones.
Yeah.
And I don't think in New Zealand you'll ever come across anybody who's got a 6 meter pipe. This is the output voltage. If for some reason you don't get a signal coming through straight away, you can increase or decrease the voltage to see what you've got. If we hit escape now, it tells us that the spacing for this particular setup should be 13.8 millimeters. Now, obviously, we can't see 0.8 of a millimeter, so we're just going to go. To 14 millimeters. Now that one's actually on backwards. So someone's been looking at this one and they've put it on the wrong way around. That's better. So the two pointers will indicate where you're to mark it. So we set one end. I've not done that correctly. One moment. They can be placed in. Oh, there we go. Okay, so if we start with 13.6 millimeters, you can choose any point you like. So we'll go from there, 60, 10, 20, 15, 16 millimeters. Grease. Turn it down until it starts to squidge out the side, and it will start measuring. Now the next screen you'll get to is the measurement screen, where we can have 3 different types of flow data showing up. At the top here, you have information about the signal. Are you getting a return signal? Obviously we are not. The output transmitter power, obviously again, is not working because we've got nothing connected. And for example, at the moment we've got meters cubed per hour and velocity of meters a second and a flow rate percentage. But again, it's a drop down, so it's very easy to change that to whatever you want. It could be barrels per day. So there we go. Barrels per minute. There's all sorts of, obviously litres per second is going to be your most common, especially when you're dealing with irrigation folk. Litres per second, litres per minute, litres per hour, litres per day, meters cubed per second, etc. So there's just about everything you'd ever want. So you can have a couple up on there straight away. You'll see at the bottom of the screen it says E2 no received signal. Well, we know exactly why. But really it's that simple that if you now connected that up, it would start reading straight away. If you have an error up here, you can just about guarantee that you've got a reading wrong. It will log. It does a very good logging system, and a lot of customers will ask you about logging because again, it's very simple, much simpler than a lot of others. The storage goes onto a SD card in the base. It used to come with a 512 megabyte card because even that amount will hold 2 years of data. So you can't buy a 512 megabyte card for love or money. So 2 gigs is going to be about your smallest, maybe bigger, and that's fine. But what I tend to do when I'm getting the data off the unit, you can of course plug it into a PC using a standard mini USB-B, but I always take the SD card out and plug it into a card reader on a laptop. You'll never have a bad Windows day when you use an SD card. Sometimes Windows will go, I don't know what that is, I'll install a driver. If you use the SD card, it's just CSV data. Excel, you know, so easy peasy. So the logging, there's 2 ways of doing the logging. You can set up a complex logging where you say, I want you to come on at 6 p.m. tomorrow, turn off at midnight tomorrow, and log every 5 seconds. Or you've got a quick log where you can just go to the menu, go log, and it will start, and like it records for 1 hour at 1 minute sampling. And that really is it. Have you got any questions about that?
No.
If you compare it to the others that we've sold, in the past we've had Honeywell do a good one. Very expensive, huge lead times. GE Panametrics do a good one, very expensive. This is probably about 30 or 40% lower cost. And Honeywell / Krone do one, and again, this is lighter, smaller, easier to use, and much better priced. All right. So next time I'm going out with one of these, I'll take you out and we'll do it on site.
Yeah.
All right.
Cool.
Cool. Thanks, Jared. I can just edit out any other crap that happens.